The crucifixion of Jesus is one of the most significant events in human history. For centuries, people have asked, who was truly responsible? When we carefully read the Bible, we discover that the answer is not simple. And it certainly does not point to one entire group of people. The Gospels describe growing tension between Jesus and some Jewish religious leaders, chief priests, elders, and certain Pharisees. Jesus openly challenged hypocrisy. He criticized the misuse of the temple. He attracted massive crowds and spoke with authority that unsettled the leadership. In Matthew 26, the chief priests and elders gather in secret to plan his arrest. They accuse him of blasphemy when he speaks about his divine identity. From a religious perspective, they see him as dangerous. But there is an important political reality: Judea was under Roman rule. The Jewish council, the Sanhedrin, did not have the legal authority to execute anyone. John 18 verse 31 clearly reflects this limitation when the leaders bring Jesus to Pontius Pilate. Pilate was the Roman governor, representing the power of the Roman Empire. He interrogates Jesus and, according to the Gospels, appears hesitant. In Luke 23 verse 4, he says, "I find no fault in this man," even after sending him to Herod and receiving him back. Pilate still finds no crime deserving death. However, the situation becomes politically charged. The crowd cries out for crucifixion. Pilate faces a dilemma: release Jesus and risk unrest, or satisfy the crowd and maintain order. In Matthew 27, Pilate symbolically washes his hands. But the authority to sentence Jesus to death was his alone. Crucifixion was not a Jewish method of execution. It was a Roman punishment used for rebels and those seen as threats to the empire. Roman soldiers flogged Jesus. Roman soldiers nailed him to the cross. The inscription above him, "King of the Jews," was written under Roman authority, highlighting Rome's political involvement. So biblically and historically, the execution itself was carried out by Rome. At the same time, the gospel narratives do show that certain religious leaders pressed strongly for this outcome and persuaded parts of the crowd. But it is essential to understand that Jesus himself was Jewish. His disciples were Jewish. The early church was entirely Jewish. The New Testament does not blame an entire people, it describes specific individuals in a specific historical moment. Christian theology adds yet another dimension. According to Isaiah 53 and 1 Peter 2 verse 24, Jesus' death was part of God's redemptive plan. In that spiritual sense, the crucifixion is understood as an act that transcends politics and ethnicity. The cross, therefore, stands at the intersection of religious tension, political calculation, and divine purpose. And in his final moments, according to Luke 23 verse 34, Jesus prays, "Father, forgive them, for they do